happy Tuesday. This is coming to you a day late. Normally I would come to you live on a Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, but we had an impromptu dinner date last night with the girls, and dinner ran a lot later than we anticipated. By the time I got home and got the kids ready for bed and all of that fun stuff, it was just too late to come and do a live for you. But I miss crafting with you all, so here I am live on Tuesday, and I haven't actually even created a project, but what I wanted to do tonight is actually respond to some emails I've received through my blog from a post I did last week. I was sharing the swap card I had made, and it's an interesting fold. So I've had a couple of people reach out to me asking how I created it. So I thought tonight on my live I would show you how to do that. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we are going to get crafty. All right, so this is the card in question. So this was the swap card I had made for a recent demonstrator swap, and it's a little bit different because it opens like that. So it's got a couple of little flaps and a panel that tucks in behind the tag to create a little unique opening. I have no idea what this type of fold is called, but I had fun creating it, so I thought I would show you what I did. And I'm not going to create this card. I'm going to actually use a new stamp set. So this is upcoming in the new holiday catalog, or the July to December mini catalog. It's called Whimsical Trees. I did show this in my unboxing, I believe, on my last live. I haven't used it yet, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to play with it with you all here live. And I'm going to use the beautiful Tidings of Christmas 6x6 specialty DSP. Sorry, it's not specialty, it's just a 6x6 designer series paper. And I'm going to pull out my little sampler so you can see all the beautiful colors that are included. So I make myself these little samplers that have all the designer series papers and coordinating colors. So this is the Tidings of Christmas. So you can see it's got six different pieces of card. Wow, I can't find my words today. 6 different pieces of designer series paper. They are double-sided, so there's different patterns on each, and then the complementing colors are Cherry Cobbler, Evening Evergreen, Misty Moonlight, Sahara Sand, and Soft Succulent. So I thought I would play with these. And these are actually part of the designer series paper sale, which is happening right now and ends in a few days. So if you like this holiday paper, it's a good time to stock up on it. So I'm going to use this piece, which is an Evening Evergreen background. Both sides are actually really pretty, but I'm going to use this one, and then it has some Sahara Sand, Misty Moonlight, some hints of Cherry Cobbler in there. I don't know how well the camera picks those colors up. There we go. A little bit better. And I'm gonna need 2 pieces. It's pretty, isn't it, Diane? Okay. So for those of you joining, don't forget to share, because I will do a draw, and one lucky sharer will actually get the card I'm going to make tonight. And I'm only making one because it was impromptu and it's already late, so don't forget to share. So our base is a standard 8.5 by 5.5. That's not any different from a standard core full card or a traditional card that we would make. What's different is how we're going to fold it. So you want to pull in your Stampin' trimmer with your scoring blade, which is the light gray, or a scoring tool. And so what you're going to do is you're actually going to score from each end at 2 1/8. So just use that light gray blade, and then I like to just rotate my cardstock around and go 2 1/8 again. Like so. And then you can put your trimmer away, and you're just going to fold along that score line towards the center of the card so that they create a panel. So you can see they come together nicely in the center, and that creates our card opening. So I like to burnish my edges with my bone folder to give it that nice crisp fold so they lay flat. Next, we're going to take a piece of complementing or coordinating cardstock. So I'm using Cherry Cobbler here. So this piece is 3 3/4 by 2 1/4, and you need 2 of those. And so these are going to get attached to the card base across the front. And I don't know how well the camera is picking that up. So they're going to get attached here. But what I want to do is, because I want them to open opposite one another, I'm going to attach the top one on the right side panel. And so once you figure out where you want those, I just use my seal once I get it started here. Come on. I was having some issues with my seal the other day, so hopefully this will work for me. There we go. So I'm going to put that about there. So I'm only attaching it on the one side, so it's not attached on the other. And then we're going to do the other side on the opposite piece. So whichever way you want them to be, whether you want it to be attached on the left on the bottom and the right on the top, you can do that. So there we have our opening. So easy. It looks more complicated than it really is. And then of course we need our designer series paper. So this is going to go right on top of those rectangles. So our DSP measures 2 inches by 3 1/4 inches, and we're going to attach that right on top of those rectangles that we just attached. And this should leave just about 1/8 of an inch border because it's only cut 1/4 inch smaller. So you can see it's only leaving that 1/8 of an inch. And then we're going to put the other piece on. So our front is coming together super easy. Look at that. So pretty. I love this designer series paper. I don't think the camera does it justice. It's just so pretty. Now we could leave the front like that and maybe just put a greeting on there, but of course I want to dress it up a little bit. So I'm going to cut out a tag, and so I am going to use the Tasteful Labels. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I'm going to use the Tasteful Labels. I had to think about that for a second. So, sorry, I didn't show you those. So these are the set of dies. So I'm using this one here. And I'm actually going to cut it out before I stamp. So I'm just using a piece of basic white. And I'm going to run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is just over to my left. It'll be slightly off screen, so bear with me one moment. Normally I would bring it on screen, but it's just easier to do it here because my desk is a disaster. I'm busy, and there goes my die. I am busy prepping for my retreat, which is coming up on August 21st, and I'm also getting my Christmas card club designed and ready to go out. And I need to pop under my desk for a second to grab the die because I want to show you how I created this extra embossed edge. I don't know if the camera will show that. There we go. So this edge here is not actually part of the die. Some dies will do that embossing. This one doesn't, but I'm going to show you how I did that. Give me a sec. That was way more challenging than it needed to be. All right, so how I created that embossed edge is I actually want to put my cardstock that I just cut back into the die and turn the die over. So this is the top of the die, and then this is the cutting side. So I want that cutting side up, and I'm going to use my take your pick tool, changing out the tip to the stylus. So it's just the rounded ball edge here. There's two edges. One's a little bit bigger, so I'm using the smaller of the two. And then all I'm going to do with that stylus tip is run it along the edge of the die. I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. Well, that's as far as I can zoom, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So right along the edge, just with that stylus, all the way around. And so when I pull out the tag, now you've got that nice raised edge, and it just gives it a little something extra. All right, so I'm gonna zoom back out just a little bit. I'd like to take credit for Allison, but I actually learned this from another demonstrator, and I cannot remember whom at the moment, but I did not come up with that. So you can see I haven't used the stamp set yet. It's brand new. So if you are new to Stampin' Up, when you order your stamps, if you get a cling mount stamp, this is what it looks like. So it's our traditional red rubber, but you have to assemble it. So it's pre-cut, it's laser cut. They just pop out. So I'm going to take the ornaments first. So you literally just pop it out. You're going to peel the back off of that, revealing the foam. Allison, I'm glad you're learning. And then the stickers. So on the one side, can you see the perforated? It's kind of perforated and pre-cut for you. So I'm just going to peel the back off the sticker, leaving it on the entire backing. And then I'm going to use the edge of that backing, where the paper still is, to line up my stamp right on top of that sticker. And that's how I get a perfectly lined up image. And now when I peel that off, our sticker is on our stamp. And for the most part, they work out pretty straight. Hi, Sonia. Thanks for sharing, hon. All right. And I think I also want... I want to see if that's going to fit on there. And it will. So I'm going to get this one here. May the love of the season warm your home and fill your heart. So we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to pop out that stamp. I'm going to pull off the paper. I'm going to reveal the sticker on the paper backing. And then I'm going to use that to line up my stamp. Love it. And last but not least, I think I want this little tree, which is this one here. So again, I'm going to pull off the backing, reveal the sticker. Super cute. And stick that down. All right, so now let's do some stamping. So again, I'm just playing here. I haven't actually come up with a design, but I think I'm going to start with my sentiment, and I'm going to do that in cherry cobbler. So I'm going to ink that up. And then I'm going to stamp that as close to the center of that tag as I can get. Pretty. And I'm going to close this up because I know I'll stick my hand in it. And then I think I'm going to use my Memento and some Stampin' Blends with these ornaments. So I'm just going to stamp these randomly across the top. I'm liking that. And then I'm going to pull in my Evening Evergreen and that little tree. And we're going to put that at the bottom. Not sure how much I like that, but this is part of the creative process. I'm going to color it in and see if I like it better colored, and if not, then I'm going to cut another tag and we're going to start all over, because that's part of designing. So I pulled in the complementing Stampin' Blends. So I have Evening Evergreen, Misty Moonlight, and Cherry Cobbler. So I'm going to start with the Misty Moonlight, and I always like to go dark to light. I think I've mentioned this. So we're just going to color our ornaments, and the reason I picked these three colors is they coordinate with the DSP, and the general rule of thumb when you are creating is you want to use a color at least twice, otherwise it looks out of place. It doesn't look like it has a purpose, and because there's Misty Moonlight in the paper, we want to add that in with our blends. So you can color these any way you want. I'm going to add some Cherry Cobbler there. I think over here, I'm going to color this one. So this is the light Cherry Cobbler, and I'm going to go in with the dark. Just adding some details. And then I think for this one, I want that little star in the middle to be Evening Evergreen. And then we'll do some Evening Evergreen on this ornament. So pretty. It just ties everything together. And I notice as I'm coloring that my sentiment isn't straight. Normally that would bother me, but I'm going to let it go right now. Just going to color these in really quickly. I'm really liking these ornaments. They're so pretty. Now the tip I will share is don't do that embossing until after you do your stamping. So that extra little step I did with the die and the take your pick tool, hold off until after you stamp to do that. Otherwise your image gets a little bit distorted. It's not the end of the world because it's stamped off, but just a heads up. Turn this one into the blue. All right. So there we have our ornaments. And we're going to put that tag right on there. Now you can see that that sentiment's not straight, so that's going to drive me crazy. So I'm going to recut it, and we're going to try that again. So I'm going to grab my die. I'm going to run this through. Didn't drop the die this time. All right, so let's do this again. So I'm going to start with my ornaments. And it doesn't matter if your ornaments are straight because they're hanging and, you know, they could be swinging or doing their thing. But you want your sentiment to try and at least be straight. I think that's better. And then I want my tree. And I think I'm going to center it actually. Yeah. Okay. Still not perfectly straight, but I think it's better. All right, I'm not going to color those ornaments. Or no, maybe I will. I'll just do it quickly. Just so we have some color. And let's go with this one. I love Misty Moonlight. It's such a pretty color. It's kind of like a smoky blue gray. It's just so pretty. Absolutely love it. Let's do this one. Coming together very nicely. I am happy with this. What do you guys think? Not so scary, hopefully. The fold. Now that you see it in action, it's not so bad. So I didn't do any shading with the darker blends, but you get the general idea. Right, so let's pull our base back in. So now when we're attaching our tag to the front of the card, actually no, we want to do this first. So we got to do our little embossing trick. So again, take your pick tool, back side of die right along the edge to create that embossed edge. There we go. So it works much better when you stamp first and then emboss. All right, so now when you're attaching the tag, you want Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're only going to do the bottom half of the tag. So what I like to do is actually put my dimensionals right on this rectangle, as the top one, and then I can kind of put one on the bottom and then one either side just below center. Peel off your backs. And now when I put that on, trying to make sure it's centered, give it a push. Now I have that tag in place to create that fun opening. And it's not going to get stuck in my dimensionals. Now, of course, we want to finish that off with some sort of embellishment. So you could pull in baker's twine. And what I love about baker's twine is you can color it to be the color of your desire, whether it's cherry cobbler, evening evergreen. You just use your Stampin' blends to do that. I'll show you actually on the end here. So I'm going to grab my dark cherry cobbler with the brush tip, and I'm just going to run that along the edge of my twine here. And you need to kind of roll the twine a little bit to make sure you get an even coverage. And so when you do that, now you have baker's twine to coordinate. So you can do that with any color, but of course I like gems, so I'm going to pull in our rhinestones and take your pick tool, and I'm using the medium-sized gems here, so I'm going to just put a couple on the top and one on the bottom, and there we have a cute fun fold, which looks intimidating, but it's really not. It's super easy to do. Of course, you'd want to put a piece of basic white on the inside so that when you're writing your greeting, you can sign that without the writing getting lost. But that is our card for this evening. So thanks for tuning in. I know it was totally impromptu, it wasn't planned, but I appreciate you coming and crafting with me tonight. Don't forget to share, and I will do a draw next week. Thanks everybody, have a great night.